Oh, it's time for another draft on Drafters. Full point PPR, 20 rounds, and no playoff pods here as we compete for $500,000 on America's favorite best ball site. That's not what they're saying. Actually, I think they're mostly Canadian, so that's even more inaccurate. Either way, I'm already in the draft room here. I was thinking about trying to mess with the framing of this a little bit because I feel like I'm taking up too much of the Drafters screen. I might try to go back to a square here in real time because I don't think I'm doing a good job not covering up the entire board. Well, that's not enough. All right, fuck it. I'm not going to do it today. You get to stick with me as a circle for now. I'm picking in the 9 hole here. Chess Liam in the 1 hole, so I don't know if he's streaming at the same time. Got a guy Nolan here in the 11 hole. Everybody else, I don't know who they are because I think this was a flash fill. So we'll see what we can do here, picking the 9 spot. Shout out to Consigliere here early. Our confidence intervals on JJ McCarthy, Drake May, and Anthony Richardson are insane. I guess explain more. Let me know. I don't know that I would say they're insane. I think the Drake May confidence is a little bit high. I've talked about that enough. I'm not one of the preeminent Drake May believers, even though I do respect a lot of people that are. I do think that he's a player that did not show enough last year, and I'm a little bit surprised to see people caping blindly for him when the coaching staff coming in there, Mike Vrabel as your head coach, Josh McDaniels as your offensive coordinator. It's not really confidence inspiring with anything else we've seen from any of the situations they've had in recent years. Are you hoping that Drake May becomes Ryan Tannehill? If so, you might hit that outcome. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what you're getting out of it. And again, I'm cool. I'll take Drake May sometimes, but I just think the Drake May caping is odd. And the fact that he is 80 spots behind Jaden Daniels, was right about that one. Besides that, though, for JJ McCarthy, I think the big thing for him is that there's no competition for the job. He's also got the weapons, too, where he is competent enough in Michigan in an offense that played it pretty close to the vest. He was an efficient player, pretty good runner as well, relative to a guy you don't expect to be a good runner. I think he'll play well. I'm not sure if he has the game-to-game ceiling that Sam Darnold had last year, but I think the hope is that he does immediately have a similar ceiling. Maybe the rushing makes it easier for him to get to those 20, 25-point games that Darnold could hit. But I think McCarthy, to me, if you were to tell me which one have to be most confident in, it'd probably be JJ McCarthy. For Anthony Richardson, I think the confidence should be a lot lower because you have a legit starter there. So, if we're talking about confidence intervals or differentials between these guys, AR should be at least confident one right now because Daniel Jones is going to start the year, and if they're competitive for a playoff spot, he's probably not going to give up the job. We got Malik Nabers here, Nico Collins here, Amon-Ra St. Brown here, very wide receiver heavy portion of the board at this point. It's hard for me not to take Malik Nabers when he's up. I just don't see the reason to deviate too much when this is my 20th draft. So Malik Nabers will take him here. And going behind McCaffrey, behind Gibbs. McCaffrey one is a new adjustment. A lot of the best ball sites out there. Trying to make the board bigger again. I feel like there's got to be a way to size this better. I'd previously put myself down below on Drafters. And I guess it doesn't matter that much to take off the top right corner, though you can't see Nolan at all here in the 11 hole. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to format the Drafters production screen better. That's on me. Deposit match on Underdog. There you go. Take advantage of that if you can. All right, we got Nabers, Henry. So right now, and this is something that if you've watched the streams for years, it might be a surprise. Derrick Henry, one of my highest exposed players overall right now. I'm not sure where I am on Drafters, but I will check that in my exposure tab. Oh, what the fuck happened there? Hold on. Okay. We're back. Check my exposure tab on here. Player exposures. Henry. Yeah, I've got 20% Derrick Henry on here. I've got, I think, 22% on Underdog. Okay, good. Draft's disconnected. That's my fault for clicking off the browser history, I think. We should be good now. I love Derrick Henry this year. I just think he's underpriced for what he did last year. And I talk about it a lot, but the fact that he was able to put up the volume he did and also still be a plus EPA rusher, still be a plus EPA receiver. And also for him, at his advanced age, 20% avoided tackle rate for Derrick Henry. I know everybody loves Saquon. We compare Saquon 12% rounded up. That's crazy that Derrick Henry got 20% for a guy that's as old as he is, has never been a shifty runner. Certainly, the straight line speed and power has always been there. I think Derrick Henry was fantastic last year in a way that almost got slept on because Saquon, people just loved him and obviously won the Super Bowl at the end. But I love Derrick Henry as a pick. Like, I think he is in a tier of his own and with these guys. And frankly, with Jency going lower, like, I think it's one of those picks. Jency is a very fun click. How often do you guys really, do you really believe that Ashton Jency outscores Derrick Henry coming off the best year of his career, the best scheme that he's probably had in his career, the best offense, the best team he's had in his career? How many times does Jency really outscore him this year? And I say that as somebody that likes Jency. I just don't think Henry is the right price. So click Derrick Henry a lot. I didn't expect it to be on stream here, caping for Derrick Henry. Thought I'd be talking more about Brock Bowers' obscenely long neck in the thumbnail. Look at that. Look at that neck. What's going on here? It's like bendy, you know? And obviously, like, he's in great shape too, but Brock Bowers' neck weirds me out. I'll say it. Took the shirt off and pants off. Appreciate hearing that. Feel like Achane, pick Achane over Henry every time, damn near. So you don't think that's justifiable? No. I mean, look, you got to get some of really all the guys in this range, but I think Achane in particular. And look, and I still take Jency too. Like, I do want to diversify some amount here. Derrick Henry, like, lasting past the turn as often as he does, especially when it's like hard to get good RBs aligned here if you're picking the 12 spot and the 11 spot. I just think that for me, Derrick Henry is like a very nice click in this range. And Achane was used like a receiver last year. Like, I think there are a lot of great things that Achane did. I'm just not feeling Miami quite as much. And I don't know. I think to me, Henry is safely ahead of Achane, but you want to take Achane ahead of him sometimes. I wouldn't be mad at you for it. Really coming in hot here. Brock Bowers looks like he can take a wide cock in that thumbnail. Jesus Christ. And a long one, too. Real long one. I got my first Jency share. Wow. Okay. I definitely like Jency when he falls, too. But, again, really hard to not take Derrick Henry with where I've been picking. We got Breece Hall here. We got Lamar here. So we can just corner a market on Baltimore points, and I don't think it's a bad thing. McLaurin here could set us up for Jaden later. I'll go Lamar. Lamar and Derrick Henry will get to score theoretically a good amount of rushing touchdowns here. Over under of what? 25 touchdowns between the two of them? I'd go over. If that's the mark. Faded Henry last year and I have anchoring bias. Yeah, look, I was low on Henry, low on Saquon, like many people in the community were. This year, they proved enough to me last year. Moving to new teams, increasing their efficiency. Because to me, both guys in their previous locations, I think there was more of a case for Derrick Henry than there was Saquon based off of like how they performed that last year before going to their new teams. But obviously, they both paid it off in a big way. Both guys hit the criteria I'm looking for of being efficient, getting volume. Saquon had a little more help with his offensive line, but they both got benefits from being in new schemes for sure. These situations. This spot, I feel like the receiver gets a little bit uglier. You get no shot really at Zay Flowers coming back. I guess a better shot on drafters. It's not the most likely Zay Flowers comes back. George Kittle would give us an elite tight end if we want to have a fully balanced first round here. Let's do that. Again, drafters going to reward us more for being in projection kind of builds. We got elite QB. We got hero RB. We got a rookie wide receiver or sophomore wide receiver who we expect to break out after his rookie year where he commanded targets at a rate higher than anybody in football. And then George Kittle was great last year for the Niners. So very balancy, obviously. But I like the guys we got. Like all these players here. I mean, Nabers we probably talked the least about, but I'll make my case for Nabers. So Nabers 0.2 EPA despite being in an effectively not great offensive environment, good enough efficiency. The thing that stands out with Nabers is the 32% target per out run. Like you're talking about for him, he got targeted at a level of guys like, well, Drake London was just a little bit behind him. So maybe he's getting slept on a little bit. But, getting targeted like your Alvin Kamara is getting targeted like a PPR back is what Nabers got last year. The closest comp for Nabers and I think how he got used in that offense last year. And Puka Nacua would be the same thing. Both guys last year got used kind of like mini Tyreek Hills the year that Tyreek Hill was actually really good in Miami. So 2 years ago. I think the usage pattern for these guys is like so strong that if you somehow get them both, I think that's fantastic. Nabers falls enough in rooms because of the toe injury. People being vaguely concerned about that. If you can pull it off, great. Here we had no shot with Puka going at pick 6. But like, I think those two guys commanded targets at such a high rate where Puka could be upset a little bit by Devontae Adams coming in. But Nabers, I don't see how it doesn't go up this year. Like better QB play, another year of the coaches knowing how to get the ball into space. Frankly, probably giving him some more dink and dunk targets behind the line of scrimmage. I think Malik Nabers get targets out of the backfield too, and that wouldn't shock me. I think he's got a level of targets per out run to hit that might be, like, it might put him number 1 in the league this year. So I love Nabers a good amount. The point being, this build is great. I just think we got to make sure we're getting enough balancing capital. The next 5 rounds is going to be the hardest part of this team, I think. I'm getting underdog slow draft alerts as well. It's draft season, guys. We got to really get it in. Got, like, I think 65 BBMs done, 20 drafts on DraftKings and drafters. So on a good pace there, if not a max pace. We'll see how we do in July and August. Shout out Kendrick hang out. Appreciate that. 2 years a squirter. Thank you for that. A squirt in. I thought you were doing a 40 years a slave. You went 2 years of squirting. Yes, that's better. Better and much safer for all involved. Zay Flowers goes 52. Would have loved a world where he falls back to 57, but we don't live in that world. Yeah, the hard part's going to be figuring out, do we have to get wide receiver now? Because RB is also going to fall off the cliff pretty soon. But I'm thinking 1 RB and 1 wide receiver, depending upon what we get back. Boro United, thinking about it. I didn't realize all the drafters' avatars are wearing backwards hats. Really leaning into a particular kind of brand with that one. All right, so Kenneth Walker, pretty appealing. Juwan Jennings, pretty appealing. You know, we got Niners stuff. Juwan Jennings. 2 guys who dominated targets last year. Week 14 bye is going to be tough. We got 2 lucky 7s, 2 unlucky week 14s here, 3 unlucky week 14s. But a Niners double with Nabers here. I'm sure in some world, Brock Purdy can outscore Lamar. That we don't have to take Brock Purdy for real. It would make sense to do it with the 2 receivers we have from the Niners, but depends where his ADP comes up because I'm not going to reach for him at 88, I don't think. But let's see what we get back. I could go wide receiver. I could go RB, and I think both would be valid enough. Come on. All right, he goes Odunze. I wanted Odunze. I think that would have been a nice click. Judy, I just can't get there. The QB play is too much of an uncertainty for me. I hate the price tag. RJ Harvey, hate the price tag. Travion Henderson, hate the price tag. Debo, I can live with it. Think he's going to have touchdown equity. Addison coming down in price because of the suspension risk. I mean, almost certainty. I'm going to go Debo here. Think the team would be better with Odunze, but I do a lot of Odunze. I get Odunze in every hole, so I will pass on Odunze at this time. Or wait, I'm not going to pass on him. I'll pass on the guy I couldn't get at his spot, and I will go Deebo Samuel. So the team so far, a 1-1-3-1. We've got Lamar, Derrick Henry. Wide receiver, we have Malik Nabers, Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel. At tight end, George Kittle. The good news is we got 1 receiver without a week 14 bye. So that's, on that front, the pick is a home run. On the every other front, I know people think Deebo's going to be fat. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think he looked that fat, but also it is quite literally June. So if he could be fat right now, more power to him. Honestly, I think he could be fat and still be good because Jay Nails is going to throw the ball to him in ways that are going to make it very easy for him to succeed. And that's really going to be the main bet for me, the Deebo Samuel, the entire year. Yeah, I'd take Deebo in every hole. I would take his rotund, girthy ways every hole I can. I like to see him until Deebo. I mean, again, really, the Deebo click is one where if you're going to listen to me about Deebo, the reason you should listen to me about him is because of the fact that basically he is a player where you're going to end up with a lot of easy touchdowns that went McLaurin's way last year, but aren't really natural Terry McLaurin kind of touchdowns. That's one of those things for me where I just like, having watched a lot of Commanders games, there were times he scored last year. And it's like, wow, look at Terry McLaurin doing something different. Reality is, like, he's not meant to be getting like kind of slant routes. He's not really meant to get behind the line of scrimmage stuff for catch and run. He could do it, and he should do it a little bit to keep teams honest. But like, where he should be excelling is like the deep balls, and he actually had some really unlucky runs on the deep balls. So if I had to guess this year, Debo immediately takes away 5 to 10 touchdowns that are kind of go a little easy underneath stuff. Easy button would be the better way to say that. And I would say that McLaurin hopefully hits a little bit better on his deep shots, because he probably left, I would say, 5 to 10 touchdowns on the field last year with that. But who knows? Big fan of all the new underdog contests. Just wish we didn't have to see all the dumb shit on Twitter from the. Well, I mean, I don't see it, so that's a positive. But yeah, they complain about everything. I'm not surprised. I don't know. At a certain point, I don't know how you fix that in terms of your community management, but I do think Underdog has not handled their community the best. But I say that as somebody that got, multiple threats of violence against me in a year. So what do I know? We got a pick coming up here. RB looking fertile enough. Receiver, not my favorite receiver pocket in the world. Oh my God, this guy takes the whole clock every time now. Shakir, okay, great. You took the top click. I'm going to go Darnell Mooney over Jaden Reed. Really just don't feel like Jaden Reed's a click I want to make very often. And at this point for me, Mooney, I think, should be valued a little bit higher. I do think there's definitely a lean for the team to favor Drake London. Talked about the target per route run for him being basically as high as Malik Nabers. Like, not a lot of guys hit that threshold last year, and those are 2 of them. But Mooney still being a guy with Penix who loves to air it out. He's going to be the downfield vessel for some easy targets. I feel really good about the idea of him being a player that you can have enough spike weeks for. And I think a shot there might be enough of a floor week to week as well. So Darnell Mooney, to me, a really nice click. Shout out Robert if the third. Appreciate the generosity here. We got about everybody who watched the stream is going to get a membership. So appreciate all you guys who tuned in. And of course, shout out Robert from the third. Thank you for the generosity. Join the Discord, guys. Click the link in the description. Get in there. Not doing team reviews this year. The main thing you're getting is access to this Discord where we could talk about football. You get guys like Emo Cowboy, Robert from the third in there giving great takes as well about how they're viewing things. But if you want things from me about every thought I have about football, getting on the Discord is a way to do that. Particularly when we get to the newsy time of year. They're giving a lot of updates in there. We got Tony Pollard here coming back. I think it's just the click. Need to make it up at RB a little bit. Correlation-wise, yeah, nothing really to reach for. So a 1 QB with Lamar start. 2 RBs, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard. Wide receiver, we got Malik Nabers, Juwan Jennings, Debo Samuel, Darnell Mooney. Tight end, George Kittle. I'm liking the team. I mean, like, I see what Liam's doing with his team, with Bucky being kind of the baseline. Hampton, Harvey, Judkins, hoping at least one of those rookies hits big. That's a lot of draft capital to spend on dudes that, for 2 of them, the roles are getting similarly in question down the home stretch for Harvey and Judkins. I like the build here where we have projectable Derrick Henry, I think fairly projectable Tony Pollard. And I say this as somebody that thinks Tyjae Spears is an equally valid click. I like the team that we're building a little bit more, I think. Thank you, Adam. At the bottom of every rabbit hole is a man with a big nose. We're talking about like Alice in Wonderland style. Feels also anti-Zionist a little. This is lining up pretty good. I hope so. I hope it does. Anytime I can get Mooney as wide receiver 4, I'm happy with the team for the most part. Mooney's going to be probably one of my highest exposed guys, as long as he doesn't rise too much more. If he gets into like the Shakir range, probably gets a little bit tougher to make that click. Like where Shakir normally would go in the early 70s, mid 70s, maybe a little bit harder to make it. But I think Mooney should be in Odunze range, personally. Guys, appreciate this one. If you are watching this, please show some love. Hit that like button, subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Just one creator doing the best I can, swimming upstream against constant streams going on from other best ball streamers out there. But I show up and do my work here, usually doing drafts Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. basically, doing DraftKings on Stochastic, Drafters on here. And Friday, we hit all the sites, hit Underdog, DraftKings, and Drafters. There's going to be more volume coming up for me on stream as well in the coming months. But for right now, I'm just kind of keeping it at a nice leisurely pace because it's working for me, you know, just the goal. There's a lot of streaming happening in our faces. I get it. If you want to watch Liam, Liam has done a good job branding. When you can put a championship ring on every thumbnail, it'll probably help out a good amount. You and Liam are the two drafters I enjoy watching the most. I appreciate that. Yeah, look, I think he's a good drafter. I've said it before. I think he does interesting things. I think he gets too much shit from people who don't, I don't know, just make an assessment off of somebody blustering on Twitter. But no, I think he does a good job. I prefer he not stream the same time as me, ideally. I mean, that'd be great. But, you know, what the fuck? Who cares? To be totally candid, I get paid the same amount either way. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we need more RBs in at this point. There are definitely some we can come up and get. I think we're in a good spot right now. I think QB2 is going to be the big thing for me here. There's like a really logical click to make, and I think we're going to have to pass it up for clicks that are going to help the team overall a little bit more. But I have such a big bet on the Niners here. It's hard to not take Brock Purdy if he comes. Thank you, Steel City Blue. That's what we love to hear. Honestly, you can watch Liam now. You can watch me after the fact. You can, I don't know, follow your hearts. But I appreciate you guys who do watch live or after the fact. It always does mean a lot to me. We got Purdy here. The guys in the corner have any Niners stuff? Not looking like it. I don't think they're going to take Purdy. I think ATN makes this team better. I think Rashad Bateman makes the team better as well. Ugh. I'm going to go ATN here. I think we need the RB more. People asked in my DraftKings stream on Stochastic about my thoughts on Jacksonville. You guys know, watch Splash Play. I love Jacksonville as a concept this year, even though I think ATN, Tootin, Bigsby, you want to make those bets on all three guys if you can to some relative amounts. But I'm cool with this build so far. I think we're getting there. And thank you, Josie Wales. Appreciate you being on here. Much love, Spags. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your new membership. Well, thank you, Robert Griffin III, for your new membership, I presume. All right, Mark Andrews goes. I don't think he was part of the picture anyway, so that's fine. Now we got 2 clicks here that would be good. So we'll win whether we get Brock Purdy or Rashad Bateman, I think. But Purdy feels like the right click, I think. Spice Yolk could snipe him out of spite, certainly. Here goes Dak Prescott here. All right, I'm going to go Purdy. I love Bateman. I take a lot of Bateman. I do think Purdy for this team when we have the double stack, it's just the right move. Not having a 5th receiver through 10 rounds is never one of my goals, but I think it's just what we had to do. So Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy. Hopefully Brock Purdy makes a lineup sometimes. Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne. Good build here. Stars of Tennessee, past and present, uniting. Malik Nabers, Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, and George Kittle here. Yeah, Purdy feels right. When you have the double, I think you just take it. I could have taken Penix later on. Could have certainly tried to add on a different QB, your Cam Ward tier. The big issue for me is like it's a lot of draft capital to spend on Lamar and Purdy, but Purdy, like what, 10 spots after ADP as well? Because we're in mostly a sharp room here on the turn. That works. The amount of unstacked QBs I've seen on draft is insane, he says, with unstacked talent. Yeah, I mean, like, I think I'll take a Baltimore guy at some point. I mean, technically, I'm stacked up with Derrick Henry, so we're okay. But yeah, it is. It probably works well enough on drafters. You're not getting penalized as much in the playoff pod weeks. But I think over the course of a year, you still probably want your QB wide receiver correlation to be fairly tight. Because if the receivers are beating out, you know, their projection enough weeks, the QB is going to get there. But I agree. I also do it more. And many stacks are still fine too. So I don't know. But who knows? Who knows in this crazy world? Literally on any of these sites, anything can win. unless with somebody who's reaching like an asshole way ahead of ADP over and over again. So Lamar with no Bateman can win. Do we like Purdy with CMC or just the pass catchers? I think with CMC is fine as well. I think it's certainly more appealing to get him with some of the pass catchers. That's where the biggest upside is going to be. But yeah, CMC's biggest upside should be him getting a lot of PPR points. So getting that correlated, I don't think is a bad thing. Depending on these next few picks come up, we might be in a good wide receiver pocket, or we might be in a really bad one and going to have to add some volume to make up for it. So let's see what these next three guys do, and we'll know accordingly. You can see it too in these rooms. People getting their volume up. Liam's got 31 entries. Bitcoin's got 35. This Ship It guy's got 14. This guy's got 32. People starting to fill a little. Really thinking about it. Really thinking about it. I meant to click this one. My autism would have recommended Bateman and Purdy there. Would have been more matchy for sure. Just think we needed the RB more. But that'll definitely be one of those sliding doors moments that we'll have. All right, we got a pick here. I mean, the one time it really doesn't make sense to take Tyjae Spears. I do think that Mims is a tier break here. I know some people are down on Mims. They hate the low ADOT stuff. To me, when you have easy targets and you have the upside of getting deep targets as well on top of that, those are players we should like a little bit more. And Mims, too, being as explosive as he was, as efficient as he was last year, a good target earner as well, relatively, for a guy who is, again, not being perceived as a great target earner, but 29.5% target per run, 0.43 EPA per target. Mims was good last year. A Pat Bryant type also, if you really believe in him, it's not going to really affect Mims. They're going to do completely different stuff for the most part. So I think Mims, to me, very strong click in these 120s. And I would say, in my opinion, absolutely a tier break. Would have loved to have gotten Bateman back, but I don't think that was likely. With their leg up slappies coming up. I don't know. Has anybody played with the Legendary Upside Sim thing? I know they're touting that a little bit. I watched some of the Peach stream with Karain this week. Curious to see how that works. I know they're trying. I think they only did it for BBM, though, if I'm not mistaken. But I think they're trying to do some other formats. But I'd be curious to know how the data looks. Not enough to beg for a free membership or to pay for it, which are my two options. But I'd be curious in general. All right, coming up here. All right, so we got Tootin, who feels like a duplicative bet for Jacksonville, but certainly can hit. Ray Davis here, who did get some decent goal line work last year, and certainly if the team is maybe not long for James Cook business, they can give him more. I hate Ray Davis's ADP. I think it should just be a little bit lower. But I am going to go Ray Davis here. I think Ray Davis gives a nice fourth RB. Tillman, Tillman's come up, I think, a little bit on drafters ADP wise. I get Tillman. I think ETR might have hyped Tillman this week. I don't think he's like a bad click, but the Cleveland QB situation's a mess. Actually saw some alerts while we were on stream from I'm still on the Fantasy Points Discord. I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything with them in football season, but I'm still on there and I get their alerts. One of their guys, I guess, talked to one of the Cleveland Browns beat reporters, and the beat reporters feel like you're going to have a thing where you're going to get Kenny Pickett most likely to start, and then Flacco only starting if like things don't go well with Pickett and they have to break in case of emergency. I don't know that I trust like beat reporter guys, but the Fantasy Points guys were just tagging the entire channel about it. So it might be something to note for them. If it's Flacco starting, I think Tillman would be a little bit interesting. If it's Pickett starting, I thought he looked okay for Philadelphia, but I don't trust him getting an entire offense off the ground for Judy at a lofty ADP, in my opinion. Tillman, if he's going to be priced in the 130s, I think that's a lofty ADP for him too. I just don't like Cleveland. The biggest thing for me, I just don't like Cleveland. I think if I lose out this year and it's because Cleveland's offense was like going like gangbusters, I can live with that. I think these guys last year like Jameis Winston is being baked into all their projections, like in a way that's not reflective of what the reality of the situation is. It's like these guys weren't good for what, 2 months before Jameis started? And I know like Deshaun Watson was like catastrophically bad, but like Jameis Winston makes guys in fantasy. He's done it every single time he's gotten a starting role. I don't know. I just like Tillman's price tag before at least was totally fair. He's going to go in the 130s. I'm probably not going to get there a ton. Love Judkins. Yeah. I take him if I need an RB and he's there. Especially when he goes after ADP, I think it's a little bit of a value. If he falls to the 80s, I think it's a better click. It's just he didn't earn volume. And granted, you had Travion Henderson there, but biggest predictor of future volume is prior volume. That's one of the most important data points for an RB. Second part of it is that like he wasn't like a world beater at RB last year, data wise. Not a high avoided tackle rate guy. Not really a high efficiency runner. Didn't get stuffed a ton. I know spiked huge in the CFP, but like that'll happen with the volume he got in that game. I'm just not sold he's special. But I also really don't think he'll be out there for third downs. I think that'll still be Ford unless they trade him, like some of the beat guys have speculated. But yeah, I don't know. Judkins, to me, being with the field of him feels fine. I just don't get the vibe where it's like, I think I'm going to miss out on something special with him. Could be wrong. The team's definitely going to run the ball more this year. I would say that for a fact. All the talk has been about a more traditional Kevin Stefanski kind of offense, and they feel like it's got away from him because of trying to please Deshaun Watson. So like the run game alone, there might be enough volume there for him to pay off regardless. We got Benson here, who would give us finally something stacked up with Baltimore. RB is a little bit of a cliff. And Benson is a nice discount at this point. But I am going to take likely here. This guy's got one tight end. This guy's got two. Nolan's got two. This guy in the 12 hole's got one. Let's go likely. Likely stacked up with Lamar. He'll be our tight end too with George Kittle as the elite. Because it's drafters, I'll still probably get a third tight end, but I would say you don't need to with Kittle and likely. You don't need to an 18-round draft. In a 20-round draft, you probably still do. So I think that's one of the biggest traps of college data is that usually the last year, and this is from me doing not enough research to say this like it's gospel and I'm Moses coming down with tablets for you. The last year to college matters the most. Like people love early breakout stuff. And there's a lot of dynasty people that swear by that. I don't think it matters as much as like how you did your last year, what the raw underlying numbers were your last year. His underlying numbers just like we're fine. I don't know. Yeah, and he spiked. I'm not gonna like besmirch him on that. I just am not as sold as many people are. All right, RB. God, I think we need more at receiver and RB desperately at this point. Wan'Dale Robinson, a little bit of a tier break. Tyler Algier, definitely a tier break as well. I'm going Algier. Just think we need more at RB with Henry being the hero. With Nabers, Jennings, Debo, Mooney, I feel like the top four is pretty strong. So I'm going to stick with this as it is, but this has been a tough draft. These spots are like hard for me to align. We have Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy as our QBs. At RB, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Ray Davis, Tyler Algier. Not a bad RB room. I just feel like I need something above Pollard and then bump everything else down. At receiver, Malik Nabers, Juwan Jennings, Debo Samuel, Darnell Mooney. Top four is okay, but it kind of feels like it's missing a guy in the middle as well. I think Kittle's the one that threw off this lineup. Like taking Kittle and Lamar and Derrick Henry, that has to be it. Because everything to me feels like it's missing one piece. And I never do elite QB and elite tight end and hero RB. So I think that's how my brain is kind of like struggling with this build right now. But I don't think it's a bad build. Just think it could have been better. Probably just not taking Kittle is the easy way to do that. Everyone looks good at Ole Miss. Also true. But, you know, I still like Jackson Dart and Trey Harris for special players. So, look, if you think that Judkins is that great, look, take him at ADP. I don't think he's a bad ADP. I think it's more fair now. If you were going where RJ Harvey was going before, then I don't think that would be a good ADP. But for as it is right now for him, sure. I just want to see for most guys, and this is how my process has evolved for rookies, is like really clean runway for an opportunity. That certainly is a big part of it. Judkins has draft capital. He just has to beat out Jerome Ford, who's not very good. Like, all that shit makes sense to me. But, like, it's not guaranteed he's going to get a run out of like 20 touches a game. I think what's more likely is you have 10 to 15 for him. If I had to guess, Jerome Ford is still hovering around 5 to 10, assuming he stays on the team. Dylan Sampson, I'm not sold with, but he's been involved in some pony personnel they've been doing with both RBs involved. He's probably taken 5 touches away, and that's your workload. So, like, can Judkins spike with that workload? Sure. Is he better than, like, if they're taking him right at ADP, is he better than James Conner a few picks after ADP? I would say pretty strongly, in my opinion, no. Is he better than Kenneth Walker, Swift, Joe Mixon? No, I would say really strongly not. Is he better than RJ Harvey, Travion Henderson? I think those are similar bets. Honestly, even David Montgomery and Aaron Jones, I would prefer to have over Judkins. Judkins over Pacheco, that's an easy click for me. But Pacheco's ADP, I think, is just wrong. Hard to be that bad last year as he was. Not missing tackles, not efficient. I think this is the year he loses his starting job, Pacheco, that is. So I think having Judkins ahead of him, that's fine. Actually, like Judkins, just think most of these rookies are overpriced. Yeah, look, I mean, that's been the drum I've been beating all year. So that's really the main thing for me. But, we'll see. We'll see when the cards flip. Fortunately, we still have 3 more months for the cards to flip. But, we'll get there. Mistake from last year was investing in players in bad offenses. Judkins is a soft fade. Yeah, I mean, RB's in a bad offense. If the team's desperate to run a lot, they could still hit. I do think Cleveland will run a lot. But generally, you want players from better teams. I think that's a fair rule of thumb in best ball as well. All right, we got 5 RBs, 5 wide receivers. Good news, there's a couple receivers I feel pretty cozy taking coming up here. So that'll be a positive to build out that room more. I'll tell you who one of them won't be, Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant, Pop Douglas here. I think for a PPR site, Pop Douglas is a very nice click at this point. I'm just going to go his way. Pop Douglas, wide receiver 6, getting good camp reports from what we've seen so far from the Patriots. And he's really a guy there where they wanted Polk to work out of the slot last year. He didn't. Pop Douglas is really the only one that plays well enough out of the slot. I suppose Diggs could move inside a little bit more because he might have to with his injuries. And in fact, he's probably not got a lot of juice left. But I like Pop Douglas being a PPR guy to give me 5 for 50 on a drafter's site. It's wide receiver 6. Michael Wilson, DeAndre Hopkins does correlate. Easy click, right? DeAndre Hopkins in round 16. What a treat. But he's our wide receiver 7 here. So we got a Baltimore double, a Niners double with Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy. At RB, we have Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Ray Davis, Tyler Algier. So really the thing here is guys that have good shares of an offense, the chance to get more, and also a couple of RBs that can be red zone vulture touchdown guys. That's sort of what Ray Davis and Algier brings to the table. Malik Nabers, Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, I think is a strong top 4, even though it feels like it's missing one receiver. Mims is wide receiver 5. Douglas is 6. Hopkins is 7. Would look a little bit better if they had one more receiver in there as well, but I think it works. An elite tight end with George Kittle. Tight end 2 is Isaiah Likely. Still probably going to take a third now. That's how I'm feeling currently in round 16. Let's see. Is Brock Bowers had Henry Rollins? They do look similar enough. I'll give that. I think Brock Bowers looks a little bit less angry, but I don't know, people like Henry Rollins, right? I think he's still okay. He wasn't like a hidden piece of shit at any point, I don't think. Justice Hill going to 187 here. I think we could take Keaton Mitchell in this build if we wanted, because the way he's going to score touchdowns is not going to be the same way that Derrick Henry does for the most part. Not committing to taking him, but I do think a Keaton Mitchell build could work here. Shout out to all you guys hanging out here. I do appreciate it, especially on days where Liam Murphy's kicking our dick in views-wise. But you guys know the deal. I show up and do my drafts here, and really the main thing for me is just showing you my gambling on stream. And some days we'll get all the views. Some days we get none of the views. Doesn't really matter. Say it to myself while crying into my water bottle. I like to see him, though. I have to say, if I were to compare all my teams on stream, I think my drafters teams feel the strongest overall relative to ADP and all that. DraftKings ones, I think I had a nice draft today on Stochastic. I feel like those have been my weakest stream teams. Underdog, kind of hit or miss, but I think I've had some really nice underdog teams. But drafters, I would say reliably, I feel good about the portfolio on here. So far, 20 drafts in. If I had to choose a price, 100% Travis Hunter or 0%. 100's a lot for the guys in that range. I'd probably go 0. I think Travis Hunter fits a lot of the criteria for what works for me. The fact that he is a guy, Keaton Mitchell goes to Liam as well. He's taking a Baltimore mini, which is totally logical enough. Getting a mini of a team that's going to score a lot of points is good. He's maybe saving me for from an error. We're taking him with Derrick Henry, right? Yeah, I would say that for me with Travis Hunter, the big issue is just that, like, I think he's a little bit overpriced and you go to the range around him. I mean, you have all the potential spike week guys who are like wide receiver 2s or, on not great teams. Like right now, Hunter went at 47 here. So the guy passed up J-Mo for him, passed up Pickens for him, passed up Sutton, passed up Zay, passed up Ridley. A bunch of guys who are some of my favorite clicks, in particular Zay and Ridley. But I still think Pickens can spike pretty well. Sutton can absolutely spike pretty well. It's a lot to give up for Hunter. So for me right now, I got some Hunter early. I'm happy to take him when the ADP aligns, and I think the team fits with how I'm trying to build with getting him in. But he's probably my least favorite pick in that range right now. Pick 201 year. Again, thinking we want one more tight end. Thinking we want one more RB. Nick Chubb's here. That works. I mean, I'm happy to honestly take Jerome Ford, too, with just the FUD I've given today to Quinshon Judkins. Jerome Ford's the kind of player that I feel like people sleep on too much in these kind of draft spots. Whether he starts at the beginning of the year and loses the job, or he starts the entire year, something weird like that, or just in the mix the entire year. Like, Jerome Ford has earned trust in that rotation over the course of a couple years. He's not a special player by any respect. He's not even a special pass catcher or pass blocker, but he does everything reliably, and I do think he's the kind of player that when he's going for free in these rooms, it's a pretty nice click. I also think he's the kind of player, too, that keeps a guy like Judkins, who has some raw athleticism. Again, the lack of shiftiness in game spooks me a little bit. Like, I don't think he's a great in-game athlete necessarily. I think he's the kind of guy like that. If Judkins is a finished product, I think a Jerome Ford can hold him at bay. We're on the clock here. Dante Thornton, Yoshivas, Jerome Ford himself. I've talked too much about the Cleveland thing. I'm going to go Ford. I'll take that as a sign from the gods, and I'll take the previous Browns running back in Nick Chubb, the current, technically, Browns running back Jerome Ford. And he's basically free here in round 18. So the team so far, we got Lamar and Brock Purdy. We got Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Ray Davis, Tyler Algier, Nick Chubb, and Jerome Ford. So definitely these three backs in here, I think, fit a type of running back that I'm really comfortable taking, especially on the half-point PPR sites. Just touchdown hound backs, guys that get 2 in a game and give you some points to work out in a week. If things really work out well, either as contingent value or they just break a 50-yard run or cumulatively get there with 50 yards. You're talking about 18 fantasy points then. I think these guys fit that criteria for me with Ray Davis, Algier, and Chubb. And Jerome Ford, too. And Jerome Ford is spiked enough to win me money in best ball tournaments before. So I know he can do it, even though he's probably not going to do it very often. Wide receiver, Malik Nabers, Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Mims, Pop Douglas, and DeAndre Hopkins. Back half the receiver room could be better, but we're going to add at least one more on there. And tight end, George Kittle, Isaiah Likely. Elite tight end feels good. I think for me, the biggest observation is that a fully balanced build where it's like one QB who's elite, hero RB, top wide receiver, top tight end, didn't feel like a great build here. I think that we got too balanced early and that maybe kind of digging out of a hole. I still like the Baltimore and Purdy stacks. I think they're good stacks to have. But I think the structure here got away from me a little bit. Shout out Tyler, another 2-year Squirtsversary. Appreciate him being here. And I hope that things are going well in Tyler's world with all the streams he's doing. An essential member, that's true. Tyler's essential personnel here. He gets a special badge. We got nude eggs as well. I'll pull it up on screen because we got so many picks. Where's that nude egg? Here he is. Liam Murphy doesn't have an egg butthole gif in his repertoire, I'll tell you that. He doesn't have the zipline gif. He doesn't have I think you should leave gifs from the season that probably the bits running the most dry. We watched Friendship over the weekend. The wife and I did. And interesting watch. Weird movie. I think if I were the studio and I paid Tim Robinson to make that movie, I think I'd have some regrets about paying for that movie to be made. But I enjoyed it. I think if you watch I Think You Should Leave, I think it's a good movie, but maybe not a good movie. I think it's a worthwhile watch, but probably shouldn't have been a movie. Definitely not in movie theaters. I think that was a misstep. If I had to call out one thing, I don't think that movie should have ever been played in front of public. I think it should be only in your house. You watch that one. Tight end is really not the most fertile here. I will give away one of my little sneaky clicks here that I do sometimes on stream, but I don't think I highlight very often. Why does Noah Gray not get drafted at all? Like, I saw, again, watched the on and off the clock guys before hopping on here. Of course, the Badge Bros, Nez and John, the two Badge Bros I like, relatively, and Pete, of course, on there as well. Saw those guys talking about it before the stream that I think it was Travis Kelce's got like a 650 receiving yard prop for the year. Like, that's down from last year too. People are obviously so down on Travis Kelce. ADP wise, he didn't have great yardage. Tight end wise, it was still pretty good. But like Noah Gray spiked a good amount last year. I know people think that the Chiefs offense coming back together this year, it's a belief that I have as well. They're going to be a little more aggressive offensively than they've been in recent years where they were happy to let the defense carry him. But I think Noah Gray like shouldn't be totally free. I think he should be above the Taysom Hill, who might not even play at any point tier. Like Noah Gray a lot. There you go. Robert Griffin III, draft the fuck out of Noah Gray. I think especially on PPR. But like 20-round draft sites, he can give you 20 points, I think, a couple times in a year. Not sure Arroyo does that. Disley, I don't mind. Ben Sinnott, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen too often. All right, one more spot here. I think it's receiver. Really tough spot at receiver. You just take the Tez Walker shot and hope that somebody gets hurt. I'm going to do it. Welcome back to the squad, Tez Walker. A staple of Houston-Baltimore stacks last year for Week 17. Now he's back in the mix for free in round 20. And this is the year he's really going to pop. After Bateman got paid and they brought in DeAndre Hopkins. Now is Tez Walker's time to shine, he says incredibly sarcastically. Final team here, those are 2-7-8-3. We got Lamar and Purdy at QB. At RB, Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, Travis Etienne, Ray Davis, Tyler Algier, Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford. So we got the previous Browns backfield, which frankly paid off enough times in best ball and DFS. Wide receiver, Malik Nabers, Juwan Jennings, Deebo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Mims, Pop Douglas, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tez Walker. Missing one receiver in here. Just can't escape that feeling here. The RB room came around enough, I think. The receiver room, I feel like just missing one little dose of upside, and I don't think Tez Walker is going to be the recipe there. And George Kittle, Isaiah Likely, Noah Gray are two young tight ends for the stalwart AFC teams. They both couldn't ascend this year, and it really wouldn't shock me very much. I'm happy with that team. What was Liam's final team here? Friendship was essentially a season of I think you should leave in one sitting. It was, but it was also less funny too than it I think was my issue. I get it. Still haven't drafted, but I think you're not far off from me. Still haven't drafted Kelce once or Pacheco. I don't think I have any Pacheco. I've definitely taken Kelce a few times. Kelce's too cheap now, unequivocally. All right, Liam's final team. What does he got? Click him so you can see it this way. He's got Baker Mayfield, Tua Tagovailoa, Aaron Rodgers at QB. At RB, Bucky Irving stacked up with Baker, Mike Evans as well. Omarion Hampton, RJ Harvey, Quinshon Judkins, Keaton Mitchell. All right, that RB room is like a real dodgy projection. I thought he would add in another RB in there that is like going to get you real playing time. Again, I like Hampton. Harvey, not as much, though I think there's still opportunity for him. Dobbins being in there is not good, though. Judkins, get an opportunity for him. I think it's a great click. And Keaton Mitchell here. All right. Wide receiver room's looking good, though. Chase Evans, Jamison Williams, Rashid Shaheed. You got Bateman, Calvin Austin, Wicks, Jalen Tolbert, tight end, Jonnu Smith, Goddard, Freiermuth. All right. I mean, I'm not going to see this team again because we are not going to be in pods here on Drafters, but that's that. I also have not plugged Drafters enough. So real fast, guys, big plug for Drafters. Only put on these shows here on Drafters every day thanks to their promotion of this channel, their sponsorship to the channel. So please do check them out. $100 deposit match on Drafters with the promo code SPLASH, and it does go a long way. In particular, free entries abound on Drafters. When you get in 150 entries, you also get some rake back too. And it's a little bit more than DraftKings. DraftKings apparently came out last week. They sent an email, $300 on rake back if you max out the DraftKings tournament. Over the course of your entries on Drafters, you get more money back if you win 50 max it on here too. So play both sites if you can, obviously, but play on Drafters and do play with that promo code SPLASH on Drafters if you can, because it does support the show directly. It does show Drafters that people are signing up, and I would love to get the signups going a little bit harder here in the summer months so we can make sure they don't yell at me. Make sure to gamble more responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags, follow the channel at SplashPlayPod. Back Thursday for another one. I want to add a Wednesday stream at some point, but I don't think it's going to be this week. Friday, you'll be hitting the 3 main sites again. Then I'll be in Florida next week for vacation Splash Plays drafts. We'll be doing them from Florida. So hopefully that'll be fun too. But thank you guys for hanging out. It is always fun for me to do these drafts with you guys, no matter how big or small the viewership is live. We're getting our dicks kicked in by other competing streams. But subscribe, hit the like button. You know the deal. And join the Discord if you are a member here. For Robert Griffin III gave you a membership. Join the Discord right now. Links in the description. Very easy to join. To sync your YouTube to your Discord, you'll be good to go. But shout out to all you guys hanging out. Do appreciate it a bunch. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. And go Drafters, go. All right. Bye, guys.